swear by my sword and capote that I will once again prove victorious. Now, let the battle begin!
Hey everyone, it's Matt here from New Game Plus TV. It's been about a week or so since the HD remaster of SMT3 dropped, and it's great to see a new generation of players give it a well-deserved crack, particularly if they missed it the first time or if they were too young to play it. Though the real topic of this video is to highlight a pretty big difficulty spike that new players might have trouble with down the line. Chances are you clicked on this video because you're having this problem right now. Regardless of your reasons, let's talk about how to beat the Matador in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. Getting to brass tacks, Matador is the first of the many fiend fights you'll experience in the Maniacs and Maniacs Chronicle editions of the game. They're characterized by their complete lack of flesh, a tendency to show up as your menorah glows red, and an insatiable lust for battle. With limited access to game mechanics and taking place so early in the game, it might seem that the odds are stacked up against you. However, there is a method to the madness of this boss fight, and it's largely centered around teaching the core concepts of Nocturne. Specifically, the importance of buffs, debuffs, as the Matador has no easily exploitable elemental quirks whatsoever. Chances are, if you're able to beat the Matador, you're well equipped to take on the rest of the game. But let's keep our eyes on the prize and perform a rundown of what skills we need to watch out for once you're up against Matador. You'll more than likely be hit with the following. Secunda nullifies all debuffs placed on Matador. Andalusia, physical-based attack that targets multiple party members randomly. Mazan, magic-based attack that targets all users at once using the force element. Red Capote maxes out Matador's evasion and hit rate. Taunt raises physical attack and decreases defense to your party by 2 tiers. And Focus, the next physical attack that Matador performs will be boosted by 2.5 times the standard amount. As I mentioned before, he has no notable elemental weaknesses and will block force attacks as well as any death and ailment skills. As a general rule, try to refrain from using any elemental skills and just focus on debuffing and physical attacks as the basis of your offense. As it goes with any hardcore RPG, success is contingent on how well you prepare for major fights, and in SMT3 this is no exception. In fact, the following preparation segment here will more than likely take more time to explain than the fight itself, so feel free to skip to the time that you see right now on screen to get to the in-fight tips and tricks. As for everybody else, let's get to preparation. Now, to get where you need to be when fighting Matador, you want to be at least between level 18 and 24. As you increase your level, the margin of error will decrease in case Matador decides to really hate your guts and hit you harder than usual. As for your battle plan, work on obtaining the following skills on either the demi-fiend or your party of demons. While it's not compulsory to have all of these skills, the more you have, the better your chances will be. You'll want Media, Secunda, Fog Breath, Focus, Dark Might, and Dekaja. To start, Media is arguably the most important one to get and can be easily obtained by fusing Ame no Uzume. Using your turns wisely is a recipe for success in SMT3, and having a healing skill that targets all party members for the cost of a single turn proves to be indispensable so early in the game. To obtain Ame no Uzume, simply fuse an Angel and Pixie together, and Media will be an innate skill available as soon as they're fused. If you're having trouble locating these two demons, Angels can be recruited in the water fountain room at Ginza, as well as all of the adjacent rooms within the shopping complex. As for Pixies, they can be recruited if you backtrack to the West Plaza of Yoyogi Park. Secunda isn't particularly necessary, but it is a low-cost way to keep baiting Matador into using his Red Capote skill and preventing him from spending his turns attacking. This can be very easily obtained by leveling the Iomante Magatama to the second inheritable skill, or by recruiting Chatterskull, Lilim, or Shikigami. Now, Fog Breath can be obtained at this point in 2 methods. After fighting Fornes in Shinjuku Medical Center, you receive the Waratsumi Magatama. Leveling up to 21 with Waratsumi ingested will allow you to inherit Fog Breath. A lesser alternative is to fuse the Demon Preta, or recruit them at full Kagatsuchi, then level them up to 8. Be aware that Preta will have a very low HP and MP count, but worst of all, he'll have an elemental weakness to Matador, so be sure to fuse him with any other demon to inherit Fog Breath and weed out any major problems you'll have going forward. Focus is a bit of an overkill skill to have, but it might be useful on another demon if you decided to adopt a magic-based build for your demi-fiend. If you're at least level 20, you can obtain Momonofu by fusing a blob with either Preta or Lilim. The good thing with this is that Focus and Lunge are earned as soon as you fuse him, so you can let him be your physical damage dealer, while the rest of the party can focus on healing, buffing, and debuffing. Dark might be a good skill to obtain if you're struggling to fill out the last slot or two of your party. If you manage to come across a Jack Frost or Taka Minakata, they can be fused to make a demon with decent physical damage output so they become the brunt of your offense in the fight. Lastly, Dekaja is a skill that can be used in battle in a variety of ways, and will help counter Matador's Red Capote. The first method is by acquiring Chatterskull. The odds of recruiting him are quite unreliable, but if you have enough time on your hands, head to Basement 1 of Ginza outside the Cathedral of Shadows and Rags' Jewelry to try and encounter him at full Kagetsuchi. If you want to fast track this process, you can trade gems for Dekaja rocks, which leads us to the next part. Now, there are two items that you can collect that will help significantly during the impending fight, and the first lot are Dekaja rocks. These are consumable items that can be used by the demi-fiend if you don't have Fog Breath, or you're out of MP, or you're having difficulty recruiting Chatterskull, though acquiring them involves trading gems rather than money from Rags' Jewelry in Ginza. Each Dekaja rock will cost you a piece of garnet and a piece of coral. To find the trade materials that you need, garnet can be retrieved from fighting Nozuchi, while coral can be dropped by Esora. The best place to find Nozuchi is in Basement 1 of the Great Underpass of Ginza, past the red lit gate after you give the gatekeeper the letter. Refer to the map here for a better idea on where to find guaranteed Nozuchi encounters. The best Esora fight encounters I've found were in Basement 2 of the Great Underpass of Ginza, near the Amala save point and junk shop. Just make sure you're submerged in the water of this area, otherwise the encounter rate won't tick over. If you're still unsure, refer to the map location found right here. Another major purchase that goes the distance is the Hifumi Magatama. This can be purchased at the junk shop at level B2 of the Great Underpass of Ginza, found just south of the Amala terminal across the water, roughly where you were fighting the Esora just before. This Magatama can be bought for 4,000 Maka if you're playing on the standard difficulty, or 12,000 Maka on hard. As this Magatama is attuned to the Force element, this will help block a lot of the Matador's magic-based skills he'll throw at you that generally target the entire party, and will help waste more of Matador's turns if he chooses to use Mazan to attack. Okay, that extensively covers all the preparation you have to do before the fight. So what do we need to do during the fight? First off, Matador will kick the fight off by immediately casting Red Capote and a random action. Before you even think of attacking him, make the fight even by casting Fog Breath, Dekaja, or use a Dekaja rock to cancel out the evasion buff. Most physical skills you have at this point in the game have enough problems landing properly as is, particularly if you're running a physical build with the demi-fiend. While Fog Breath is a great skill at this point, its MP cost is large and relative to its practicality, so there's a very good chance that you won't be able to cast it all the time. If you don't have any demons with that skill, or just need some extra insurance, get the demi-fiend to use a Dekaja rock as soon as Red Capote is cast again. Be sure to cast Secunda periodically during the fight to get Matador to waste his turns negating debuff effects. Usually just one cast is sufficient here between cycles, as doing it any more than that will just waste MP. The strategy here is to not get his agility as low as possible, but instead to minimize the amount of turns Matador will spend attacking your party. And when he's spending his time debuffing, that's when you really lay into him. As your party responds to what Matador performs, it's ideal to have a party member or two constantly delivering physical attacks to the enemy to whittle their HP down. Lunge can be a great attack to use, especially when that same demon has focus, but has a pretty low hit rate even when ruling out Matador's evasion buffs. So if you're not too keen on the prospect of missing attacks, the Dark Might passive while fighting at a full Kagetsuchi will help bump up the damage output of regular attacks. Now, if you're feeling extra cheeky and a little bit high risk, you can use skills like Rakukaja to increase your defense, which will trigger Matador to use his Taunt skill. This will decrease your defense but raise your attack, which can potentially help with finishing the fight quicker than usual, and much like tricking him into casting Dekunda, means one less turn he spends attacking your party directly. Above all else, relegate Ame no Uzume to healing duty full time and top everybody up as they hit half their max HP. Repeat the aforementioned steps and you'll have no problems turning Matador into bone broth. If you've already happened to beat Matador, did you happen to have any extra tips or manage to beat Matador a different way? Sound off in the comments section of this video below about your best build and strategy. We'd absolutely love to hear about them.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this informative guide on how to beat the Matador in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. It's not an easy task and we hope this video served you well. If you'd like to, pop us a quick like and subscribe here at youtube.com/NewGamePlusTV. See you next time! Try getting a reservation at a mall now, you stupid f***ing